11:47 a.m.
Hi, baby. Baby, you have to listen to me carefully. I'm on a plane that's been hijacked. I'm on the plane. I'm calling from the plane. I want to tell you I love you. Please tell my children that I love them very much. And I'm so sorry, babe. I hope to be able to see your face again, baby. I love you. Bye.
Jules, this is Ryan. Listen, on an airplane that's been hijacked. If things will go well, I'm looking good. I just want you to know I absolutely love you. I want you to do good. So have a good time. Same to my parents and everybody. And I just totally love you. And I'll see you later. Bye, babe.
What are those people going to do? All the elevators are blocked out.
In a country that most people would struggle to find on a map, in a compound that few possess the courage to enter, men from my previous life took the fight to our enemy. In that compound, they found men that pray 5 times a day for your destruction. Those men don't care about your religious beliefs. They don't care about your political opinions. They don't care if you sit on the left or the right, liberal or conservative, pacifist or warrior. They don't care how much you believe in diversity, equality, or freedom of speech. They don't care. I'm sorry you've never smelled the breath of a man who wants to kill you. I'm sorry you've never felt the alarm bells ringing in your body, the combination of fear and adrenaline as you move towards the fight instead of running from it. I'm sorry you've never heard someone cry out for help or cried out for help yourself, relying on the courage of others to bring you home. I'm sorry you've never tasted the salt from your own tears as you stand at flag-draped coffins burying men you were humbled to call your friends. I don't wish those experiences on you, but I do wish you had them. Most will never understand the sacrifice required to keep evil men like those from that distant compound away from our doorstep. But it would not hurt you to try and understand. It would not hurt you to take a moment to respect the sacrifices that others make on your behalf, whether they share your opinions or not. It would not hurt you to take a moment to think of the relentless drain on family, friends, and loved ones that are left behind, sometimes for weeks, sometimes for months, sometimes for years, sometimes forever. Ideas are not protected by words. Paper and ink may outline the foundation and principles of this nation, but it is blood, only blood, that protects it. In that dusty compound, a man you have never met gave everything he had so that you have the freedom to think, speak, and act however you choose. He went there for all of us, whether you loved or hated what he stood for. He went there to preserve the opportunity and privilege to believe, to be, and to become what we want. You have the choice every day as to which category you want to be in which direction you want to move. You have that choice because the best among us, the best we ever had to offer, fought and bled and died for it. Don't ever forget that.
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Apologize for the little hiccup there, getting us rolling. Something happened with StreamYard and Rumble, but we got it figured out. I think we're live now, right? Yeah, we're live. There's our ugly mugs. Our ugly mugs. We are ugly. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good.
You doing good?
Yeah, I had a good dinner.
I have not had dinner.
Dang, that's late for you guys.
I think my wife is trying to starve me. I think she's mad at me. She made chili last night and it was so good. Dude, I got a huge dilemma, man. Major problem. Like,
just, they're going to win, so just be a 49er fan, bro. It's about time you abandoned Green Bay.
I'm not getting into that shit, bro. You've been 4 decades, you've been on that train, and it hasn't done anything but derail for you every single fucking time. 40 years. 40 years, bro.
We're in the playoffs. Green Bay is
40 years, man. My team let me down slow. Your team build you up to break you down.
Your team is going to watch my team play in the playoffs.
And my team is going to watch your team get their shit pushed in by the Seattle Seahawks this weekend.
My team are still football players. Your team are fans.
No, your team. So that's not my problem. My problem is this. It's supposed to be in the 30s tonight. And I don't know if my house is like okay for that. Like, don't you have to like winterize your home in up north, like pipes freeze and all that stuff?
Yeah, for them, but
30 degrees down here is totally different than up there. It's warmer. It's a warmer 30 degrees down here.
I think it is. I think the way our houses are built different than their houses are built.
Oh yeah, because we don't have to worry about this problem.
No, what I'm saying is I'm talking about the way they do their installations different from the way we do our installation.
Insulation?
Installation, yeah.
You said installation. No, I'm worried about pipes freezing. When water freezes in your pipes expand and it bursts the pipe.
Yeah, but it's not gonna last that long. I mean, you gotta remember, those are sustained temperatures for them. For us, it's what, 12 hours, 16 hours, if that.
No, man, I'm kind of nervous. When I was in the Marine Corps, I drove my truck up. So in Florida, you can put.
I'm in the desert, and we've had our temperature drop really low like that before. We've even had snow. It's been a while, but we've even had snow that lands out here, and we're perfectly fine. We don't sustain the temperatures long enough.
I'm totally fucking kidding, guys. I'm totally kidding. It's gonna be freezing down here tonight, though.
Oh my God.
I'm so looking forward to it, man. No, when I was in the Marine Corps, in Florida, you can put water in your coolant instead of coolant, right? Antifreeze. You can put water in Florida.
Really?
Like if your car is overheating, right, you don't have to put coolant in there. You can actually just put water in. It's fine. It's fine. It's no problem. As long as you're in a place like Florida where it never freezes. Because antifreeze is called antifreeze because it doesn't freeze.
Makes sense.
So the first time when I was in the Marine Corps, I drove my truck up to North Carolina, and it was cold out, like really cold, like in the teens. And I had water in my F-250 diesel. And I woke up in the morning and I go to start it, and there's just water pouring out from under my truck. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? Well, it pushed out the freeze plugs. So like when the water in your coolant expands, there's these freeze plugs that blow out. So you don't blow your radiator, it blows the freeze plugs instead. Well, it cost me like $800 fucking to fix those. And I learned real quick why people up north put antifreeze in their vehicles instead of water. So yeah.
Well, I'm in Southern California, and we all put antifreeze in our cars.
I know, but if it doesn't get below freezing, you can put water in it. It's no problem. Like water's fine.
Why not just put antifreeze though?
Because you're in a pinch, man. You're in a pinch. You're overheating on the side of the road, and you're like, shit.
Yeah, if you're overheating, but then afterwards, just go put in a little bit of antifreeze. There's freaking AutoZone, Craigan's, Walmart, everywhere in the freaking country.
All right, you're missing the point here. All right, guys.
I get it. You can use water as a Band-Aid, but once you're out of the conditioned Band-Aid, then go and put a little bit of antifreeze in again.
Why would I go spend money on antifreeze when water's free?
So you don't have to pay $850 to fix your truck?
Well, I didn't plan on moving to fucking North Carolina and didn't know that freezing temperatures would do that because I'm a Florida boy.
So what if all of a sudden the apocalypse hits and we got to abandon the southern states and we got to move on up north?
Then I'll drain my fluid and put antifreeze in there.
And what if if time don't permit, or what if there's nowhere on the shelves because everybody else is thinking the same thing?
And I'll keep that bitch running so it doesn't get a chance to freeze. It stays hot.
Then you're wasting fuel that could be used to cook dinners, roast Civil War enemies.
Yeah, could be. I'll just add alcohol to it. All right, let's get into the show. Instead, I tried to be funny, and Alpha just goes full retard, and so
how am I full retard? I made sense.
I don't know. All right, guys. What's really on your dinner plate? Grocery store beef could have dozens of DNA profiles. Chicken labeled organic or natural. Yeah, it's often just processed and shipped in bulk from the same two companies, no matter the store or the label. At Rattlesnake Meats, they control every step. They raise it, they age it, they pack it. No subsidies, no big agriculture middlemans. Just real, honest meat that tastes like it should. Order straight from the farmer. Order from Rattlesnake Meat Company today. Head to rattlesnakemeats.com/Badlands and use promo code Badlands to get started. I love Rattlesnake Meats. And then let's talk about our friends over at Mushroom Vibe.
Hey there, Earthlings. I'm here on the streets of New York to tell you about something that's literally out of this world. You know, traveling between dimensions really takes it out of you. But I've found the perfect solution. My Shroom Vibe can now be your Shroom Vibe. Elevate your frequency. Get microdose capsules, gummies, and chocolate bars at myshroomvibe.com. Use code BADLANDS for 10% off your order. Trust me, galaxy hopping demands balance, and ours comes from Mother Nature. Organic, not synthetic. It's the real deal. Sai Lee, if you know what I mean. Check it out. Your frequency will thank you. Visit myshroomvibe.com. Organic goodness, not synthetic. Use code BADLANDS.
All right, my Shroom Vibe. Sergeant Sparky, SRG Sparky says, antifreeze protects from other BS that's in hose water. Only if you let your car sit. If you let it sit, it'll rust it out, but it's not going to do it overnight. All right. So tonight we were supposed to have this awesome, epic debate, and it was going to be me versus Alpha and our two guests against each other. And Josh chickened out. Josh Reed.
He did not chicken out.
He totally chickened out.
No,
he was man, CannCon's ruthless. I don't want none of him.
I told him and Colonel last minute, and he wasn't able to adjust his schedule.
By last minute, Alpha means we got done with daily. I was like, text him, and he's like, okay. Like 4 hours later, I'm like, did you text him? He's like, fuck, I forgot.
There's more to that story. So after daily, we were doing our debriefing, and our debriefing went on for a while, and I had to be in another meeting. And then I was just like, because we were talking, I was like, I got to go to the meeting. So then I rushed into that meeting. And then, I was there at length because it was important. And then that's when I realized, or not when I realized, but that's when it got past me. Then Can reached out later. He's like, what'd they say? I'm like,
oh, shit.
About that.
PJ Corrigan says Josh Reed is a giant pussy. I don't think so. All right, but welcome to the show. Colonel Towner did show up. My side of the debate showed up. What's up, homie? Colonel, how you doing?
Where's this my side?
My side.
No.
Hey, Colonel, is Smartmatic and Venezuelans rigging elections around the globe?
No.
Okay,
I don't believe that
side.
either. That's not, I don't have that argument.
My side.
Yeah, but you presented a side that I don't argue the contrary to that.
Hey, Colonel, is Trump going in there to overthrow a regime in Venezuela?
No.
My side.
I don't think he's going there to overthrow a regime either.
My side. How you doing, Colonel? Are you staying warm?
Yes, I am. Y'all were cracking me up. I'm telling you. My dad would have rolled over in his grave if that would have ever happened to me with my radiator. I'm telling you. And I do agree with you. The whole time I lived in Florida that you do just put water in your radiator. But I knew very well because my dad was a long distance truck driver. And I mean, he even had a fuel line freeze up on an interstate because it was so cold. So I've heard so many stories about preparing your vehicle to be in cold weather that my dad would have like literally disowned me if that would have ever happened.
My first time driving in snow was coming off base one night, and Christy was with me, and I don't remember why. I think we were going on Christmas leave, and they kept us. We had just gotten back from the rifle range, and they had a battalion formation. And when the formation was over, by the time it was over, it was snowing. And it doesn't snow in eastern North Carolina that much, but it was really snowing, like hard. And I had to drive home in Christy's car. I did not have my truck. My truck broke down and was on the side of the road somewhere in Jacksonville, North Carolina. And so Christy had to drive me home. So I'm driving home, my first time ever driving in the snow. First time ever in a little Chevy Cobalt front wheel drive, whatever crap car. Not crap car, but not like a 4-wheel drive, big heavy truck like I'm used to. And I'm like, I can barely see like 10 feet in front of me, and I'm just barreling along, and I'm like, the black ice stories start hitting me about like the cars that come over and just like fucking just keep plowing. And I'm like, oh my God, we're going to die. We're going to die. This is how I die. I joined the Marines in the infantry to die on a highway in a snowstorm, but we made it. We made it somehow. I acted confident though. I did have a Ford truck. Yes. Spotzel. So there's that.
So my first time driving in snow at 18 was Rantoul, Illinois. And I was at Chanute Air Force Base, and it was the worst winter that Illinois had in 30 years. There was like 15-foot snowbanks on the side of the roads, and I grew up in Florida. I'd never seen any of this, and I'm like trying to drive home, and your car's like swishing all over the road. It was not good. It was not good.
Are you a born and raised Floridian?
I am not. I moved down here when I was 4 from Illinois, but I don't remember ever being in the snow. My husband's 6 generations from here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a rarity down here, Alpha. Like,
it is. Yeah.
People, where you're from? I'm like, from Florida. No, but where were you born? Florida. And they're like, you were born in Florida? I'm like, yeah. So was my wife. Doesn't happen a lot down here.
Really?
Yeah. It's like it's like an anomaly.
Everybody moves down here.
Yeah.
Like we did. We moved down here in 65.
Well, but does that mean that Floridians move out though?
Yeah, we get sick of it, man. Like, it's not, we want a lot of Floridians move up to like the Carolinas, Georgia, North Georgia, stuff like that. I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird.
I mean, I get it. It's like us in SoCal. We got 2 seasons. We have summer, and then we have summer cold.
Yeah.
And
well, most of my friends that moved out of state are all back. We just had kind of the last of our kind of clique in school come back from Southern California. They'll end up back here though.
We have summer in Florida, then we have like 3 days of winter, and then we have summer 2, and then we have like summer 3, which is like hell, like the pits of hell. And then that's only like 2 months. That's like August and September. And then we get into summer 1, which is the fall. So for other people. So there we go.
Yeah. June, the second half of June, all of July, and like the first half of August that's Hell Week. That's Hell Week in SoCal. Like, that's
that was the only time I lived over by the beach, and the only time I ever had my air conditioning on was in July and August.
Yeah.
In Southern California.
But even the beach is still pretty nice though in the summer.
There's a nice breeze the whole time.
Yeah.
But never had my heater on in Southern California ever.
But out here, we'll hit the 123, 124.
But it's a dry heat.
No, that's Arizona. Arizona's a dry heat.
Oh, you guys don't have a dry heat? No. So you're out there in humidity?
It's still much drier than Florida, trust me.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely it's now much drier than Florida. Growing up,
it was in the 80s. I left Florida and came to California. I know. I'd never seen anything like it. So in humidity here, you don't really, this is the craziest thing. In Florida, no matter how hot it gets, you don't sweat because your body needs moisture on the outside, but there's so much humidity in the air that it cools your body by the humidity. In California, when I was out there,
you're dripping.
Oh my God. I thought there was actually something physically wrong with me. I've never sweat like that in my life. It's like the water is just sucked out of your body in order to cool your body. And I'm like dripping in water all 3 years I was out there. And I'm like, I've never sweat like this in my entire freaking life.
You have to always be
just like
hydrated.
as a sponge.
But to that point, you know, growing up, I remember when we were playing football out here as kids. So this would have been the late 80s, early 90s. You know, that was back then we had humidity. Now it's very, very, very rare. We're actually closer to Arizona weather now than we were growing up. And I part of me wonders, is because of all the development that's happened out here, maybe because of that. I don't know. But there has been a change in the way the humidity has been in SoCal.
It's climate change. Global warming, dude. Totally global warming. You're gonna
the icebergs are melting.
All right. So we
I don't get to tell my first snow story.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. So funny enough, I was 18 too. And for those that are familiar with Southern California, we knew it was snowing, so we're all like, let's go out to the snow, right? Because we're professionals, because we're Californians. So we drive up the mountain and we go out there and we're all having fun in the snow. And then I'm driving back down. I'm in a 1990 Honda Civic. All right. And it's maroon. No. Full sedan. But it was maroon. So according to Candace Owens, I'm probably part of the Legion. And as we're coming down, it's nighttime. And same thing, what you were describing, Ken, where you can barely see in front of you. I was literally driving off the yellow line and the white marker just to kind of make sure I stayed on the road driving slow. But I remember thinking, someone's going to hit me. I'm in a little car and it's going to push us right off the edge. Because this is like the mountains where sometimes you have a guardrail, sometimes you don't. Or no one's going to hit me and I'm going to have too much momentum, slide in this, because, we're going down now. And I'm going to slide off this damn thing. I remember I was stressed until I finally got to a point where I was just like, if we fall off now, we'll get hurt, but we won't die. And then I kind of felt okay.
I'm down far enough, I'm not going to die.
Yeah, we're down far enough that we'll get hurt, but we'll survive. We'll survive this, and then later on, I realized that you can die if your car just falls off a 40-foot overpass. And I was just like, really? Guess it all depends on how you land.
Or if a tree stops you on your way down.
Yeah.
That's always
that was my first driving in the snow story at 18.
Jeez. All right, guys. Well, if you have not yet, smash that thumbs up. We'll get into the show. We're gonna do a little palate cleanse here though before we get into the show. And Colonel Towner sent us over this video, and it's pretty fucking hilarious. So check this out.
Hey, bro, what kind of bird is that? What kind of bird is that? First. I'm not really sure. I think it's a legendary character.
Get out of here! You're not welcome! Go away! Fuck off! Fuck off! Fuck off! Fuck off! Fuck off! Fuck
Those are decoys, not ducks. Fucking retard.
Well, fuck off. We don't want you shooting around here.
I don't give a fuck. I don't want you walking around here.
Oh, fuck off. This is public property.
Exactly my point. Yes, you're proving our point.
Don't shoot anything alive, you fuck off.
These are already dead. These are already dead.
I don't care.
They're already dead.
I don't like shooting you. Fuck off. You fuck off.
Those birds identified as dead already.
Oh, fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Oh, I love it.
Hey, I'm trying.
No.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He enrolled that fucker.
I'm gonna be back. I need to grab something. You guys are gonna laugh your asses off. I'll be right back.
Somebody needs to edit that in a way that it's like fuck off, fuck you, fuck off, fuck you. Like, you know, like we
You
need
know
an
what my
editor.
husband said?
Huh.
Sounds just like our chickens laying eggs.
I froze this when I pressed like the stop button, I froze it right here. Tell me that doesn't look like a possum head down here in the right-hand corner.
Oh, it does.
Like with
It
the
does.
mouth open, the eye right there.
Yes. That's
Thing
so
looks like
funny.
a possum head. All right. So little palate cleanse there. Fuck
Okay.
off. What do you got, Alpha?
You guys found the real life person to a coffee mug that I bought. I shit you not. Go full screen with me real quick. You did.
Oh, oh, that is awesome.
Fuck off. Fuck off.
That is
Looks like her.
awesome.
It even looks like her.
That's epic, bro. Wow.
You found me the real this cup must have been made from that person.
Yes.
Wow. That's classic. All right. So, Colonel, the reason we brought you on tonight is I had somebody in the chat, and I'm not going to name names because, quite honestly, I forgot who it was, but was telling me that apparently, and this was during Badlands Book Club, apparently you and I and our takes, and Ash, I think I can include her in this, our take on the Venezuelan story is completely contradictory to Alpha and Josh. And I listened to, I think it was DEF CON. It might have been Q After Hours, because I think Brad might have been there too. So I think it was Q After Hours. And I want Alpha to lay out what he thinks is going on in Venezuela right now.
All right, shorts and skinny of what I think is going on is I do think Venezuela played a part in the election theft. A part. I believe there's 3 hubs that were involved. I think Venezuela was a hub. I think Serbia was a hub, and I think China was a hub. And I'm referencing the intelligence agencies from everybody that's involved with this. I think Trump pulling out Maduro is not a regime change. I think we align there. I think what it is I don't think Maduro is a good guy. I don't think he was ever put in there as a good guy. I think Maduro, however he got power, whoever you want to blame it on, I think the good guys eventually got him, grabbed him by the collar and said, hey, these are your options. This is what you're going to do for us. I think for the last couple of years, he has been operating with the good guys. I think he's been providing information, just like I think the president of Colombia has been doing it. Essentially, a lot of stuff that Colonel and Ghost have talked about. And this is what I posted back on November 29th. I said, we're going to keep Maduro in there until the last second. He's going to continue to provide us the information we need and orchestrate the things we need. But when it's no longer safe for him, one of 2 things is going to happen. We're either going to do an extraction or we're going to find out he's dead. I go, either way, following one of those things, you're going to see a massive influx on the conversation surrounding the 2020 election. And that was back on November 29th when I posted that. And so in addition to that, when we started to take the position with our military in that area, so right when we first, I think it was after we struck the first boat, I said the next thing we'll be doing is we'll be striking strategic positions in Mexico that are tied to the cartel. I go, after that, you'll see some type of alignment or move that involves Colombia. And again, not because of anything other than we're removing. I look at this entire region, and I said this with Colonel last night. I look at this entire region as a fob. And so when Trump comes out and he said, the Western Hemisphere, that's exactly what I think is going on with the Sovereign Alliance. I think Russia is taking control of a region that's out there. I think Xi is trying to fight the deep state that he's dealing with in China to take over the region there. And I think our part of the Sovereign Alliance is taking over the Western hemisphere over here, which means that we're attacking the infrastructure of the deep state. So now I agree that the intelligence agencies are completely orchestrating this and behind all this. But I think that Trump going in there and doing these attacks, I don't think we just extracted Maduro. I think he provided them the intel of certain locations within Venezuela that was also going to provide the information we needed to things that were tied to not just the election, but other things. That's kind of the gist of my position.
So I want to go back to the election part. How specifically do you think Venezuela was involved in global election theft?
I'm not talking global. It could be global. I'm talking specific to America and Venezuela itself. Part of that goes back about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years. No, about a year and a half ago. Me and Josh did an interview with Byrne. This was one that. What's that?
He'll talk to him, but not you, CannCon.
He'll talk. He won't talk to you. He'll pretend he doesn't know who I am and tell me my vagina.
Like
hurt.
this was, like I said, about a year and a half ago. And we talked to him, and during that interview, it was a recorded one, and we ended up airing it. I want to say we recorded in the afternoon. The next morning, we both aired that show. Well, Josh gets a call, and we both had missed calls. Josh is the first one to call back. And he's like, hey, don't air that yet. I need you guys to do an edit. And we're like, well, they both got aired this morning. And so then he's like, well, I guess cat's out of the bag on that. And what he was referencing, and I'm not going to, this is just me going off memory. I'm not going to quote anything here, but that he was specifically down there on the directions to essentially affect their elections. And, and he cleaned it up later saying, yes, General Flynn was aware of it, not involved with it. And this is a thing that kind of stirred up some controversy recently because that stuff aired again.
So Byrne was saying he was interfering in Venezuelans' elections?
He said that they were out there and they were part of an operation to, he didn't use the word interfere, but they were out there and had an involvement with the election that the government out there was not happy with, and they wouldn't be going back. As a matter of fact, if I remember correctly, he had even said that there was a warrant or a want for him, or he had information that they would apprehend him if he went back. But they were not allowing them to do whatever nefarious thing they wanted to. And like I said, I'm going off memory here. This was quite some time ago, so I would tell people go back and watch that that show that me and Josh did with them. But that was the gist. So what that told me is this is not just hearsay. This is something he's saying he had a direct involvement with. That doesn't create any benefit for him. It actually, it's bad for him. Given the.
But it actually reinforces what CannCon and I are saying.
And. Well, yeah, intelligence agencies and CIA and all that stuff. I agree completely with that.
That it's not coming out of Venezuela. It was going into Venezuela.
Well, I think what it is, and this is where I think where we disagree. I think there's two apparatuses operating in intelligence agencies right now. I think there's the bad portion, and I think there's the good portion. I think these two factions are at war with each other. And I think that Byrne was part of the good side that was trying to derail the bad side. And I think that's
by
probably
interfering in the Venezuelan election.
Absolutely. It's just this is
that's
where I'm coming
bad.
from.
That's not good.
Well,
that's very bad.
Well, here's the thing too, and I know people don't like my position on here. Do we think Trump won 2016 because we just overwhelmed the numbers? Because if absolutely. So what does that mean? That means somebody stopped the theft enough for Trump to win the election. That's interference. Now, they weren't cheating, but it's still interference. But we're all okay with it because of the result that it netted. And just like what brings us to 2024. Do we think Trump really won 2024 because because it was too big to rig? I don't buy that for 1 second. We did make it more difficult for them to rig the elections, but there is an outside party that's assisting to make sure these things happen the way they do. Now, is it good? Is it bad? I mean, to me, we have to judge it on what's going to be the end result. And if the end result is we had 2020 to 2024 that expose how bad our elections are, how compromised they are, that it is a facade, that it is fake and gay, and this is how we have to rectify it. We need voter ID, the whole arguments that we all agree on when it comes to voting, then this is how that course went.
First and foremost, to to address the chat, somebody says, apparently CannCon thinks Altman is wrong and Coomer's not involved in fixing 2020. I have no opinion on Altman, but as far as machines go, I absolutely believe machines are involved in the fraud. The idea that Venezuela
I didn't mention
somehow did it. No. I'm talking about in the chat.
Chat.
Yeah.
Oh,
The idea that Venezuela rigged our election is utter fucking bullshit.
Venezuela is just the label. That's all it is.
Utter bullshit. Even Smartmatic is not a product of the leadership in Venezuela. So when Colonel, I don't know if you've dug more on Sequoia and the Delarue connection, but I found that Secretary of State document from 2006. I think that is the, in Alpha, we were talking about this today after Daily. I think that is the smoking gun in how they orchestrated this, because we talked about Sequoia's. So for the lineage of these companies, Smartmatic started, originated in 97, wasn't Smartmatic until 2004. Started in, despite what, people say, it was not started in Venezuela, it was started in Florida by Venezuelans. And we don't know anything about them. Well, expats, but nobody ever talks about their allegiances and their affiliations or anything like that. They're kind of ghosts in all of this.
Except for me.
I
they
disagree.
are not. I've talked about their origins. They are connected to the elite families in Venezuela that was in bed with the CIA.
Well, they went to Bolivar University, the Simon Bolivar University, which is the equivalent of like our MIT. So, and MIT is a hotbed breeding ground for CIA and intelligence assets. So it's not lost on me that these guys could have been not just expats, but like literally like excommunicado from Venezuela.
They were.
Well, when you think of expats, like I think of like anybody that's working overseas.
No, when I talk about expats in Operation Gladio, the expats that exit a country as soon as a nationalist takes over, they're all tied to the CIA, and the CIA smuggles them out of that country, and they set them up primarily in Miami or New York, and they wreak havoc on that country in these. Alpha and I talk about it all the time. All the ones that the CIA brought back from Eastern Germany after World War II. I mean, they literally skinned people alive, and the CIA vouched for them and brought them into the United States. And then they act as advocates for that country, just like they're doing in Iran right now. The people that are talking about reinstalling the Shah were all derivatives of the elite in Iran that ran the Savak. You follow their lineage back, and the CIA sets them up in these institutions like the Committee for Iranian Democracy, and every one of them has a name, and they're CIA fronts, and they use them to pay these people while they incubate them here to go back in that country after someone that they don't like. They're able to finally overthrow them and go back. And that's what happened to those three individuals that they basically extracted out of Venezuela and set up in Miami.
So let me pull this up, because this is the document that we were reading in Ralph Pizzulo's Stolen Elections. And this is from, you guys can't see the heading, but it's from votingsystems.cdn.sos.ca.gov. This is from the state of California, October 25th, 2007. And jump down here. And for anybody that's been following, me and Ash on Why We Vote and all the work that we've done, tell me if this doesn't sound familiar. Whereas the Sequoia source code review team found that the Sequoia system's cryptography used to protect the integrity of precinct results can be easily circumvented and appears to be identical to cryptography key material in all Sequoia hardware, meaning an individual who gains temporary, unauthorized access to one county Sequoia voting system has effectively gained access to all Sequoia voting systems used in other counties, provided that person can gain physical access to those systems. That is that predates. Well, it doesn't predate. It's right around the same time
Yes.
as the Sequoia Smartmatic merger,
Yes.
right? And you have to assume that if that's October 2007, you have to assume that that investigation took place, months before that, at
Correct.
least.
And
And
that's
so,
after it's touched that Delarue and all of those others.
and
And
that's
Delarue is directly tied to MI6.
yes, that I was going to say that's the key. So, Colonel, talk about Delarue, and Delarue owns Sequoia. So, go ahead.
Yeah, and we talked about that briefly last night. Delarue was responsible. It's in like 140 countries, and they were responsible for printing the passports and currency in these different countries. And that is emblematic to me of the control of currency manipulation and everything else. And the CIA, like the equivalent is in Operation Gladio. Portugal had a thing called Agenter Press, and it's an integral part of this entire network to be able to print passports and currency. You remember all of the counterfeiting during World War II and all of these different things, they all come back over and over again. And Delarue is one of those mechanisms used to be able to produce currency for these covert operations. And the ability to print passports, Agenter Press did it until it was shut down once Gladio got exposed in Europe. But Delarue is the perfect thing for that. And because of its ties to MI6, the fact that they owned it for, 3 years, and they sold it at a loss, that's huge.
Yeah. So again, the reason that that's significant is because the same, kind of formula that the Secretary of State found in the Sequoia system there is what they found in the Dominion system. The same exact thing, the cryptographic key being hard coded into the software. And if you know where to look, you can find it, right? This is what Phil Davis did, Mad Liberals on X, Mark Cook. There's been a lot of people that have discovered this. I don't know who the original, person was, so to speak, but that's, to me, Smartmatic was taken over by globalists a long time ago, 2013, 2014, around there. It was taken over by Open Society's Malik Brown, Nigel Knowles, David Giampolo.
Yeah, it's back in Britain.
All English, London, Britain royalty.
Yeah.
And the idea that Venezuela had anything to do with this is absurd.
Well, what's interesting is the book that we're doing, Stolen Elections, it actually, everything you just said, it attributes to Smartmatic.
Right, exactly.
And all of that stuff. And we proved when we were going through chapter 3 on the show that it's actually Sequoia, that all of that stuff is true about, but they're attributing it to Smartmatic.
Right. So when you talk
that's
about
the only tie back to Venezuela.
Exactly. And what's funny about this is, so this 2007 report comes from California, right? The only jurisdiction in the entire United States that still uses Smartmatic software, do you know where it is? California, Los Angeles County, California. The only jurisdiction in the entire United States that still uses Smartmatic software. So you're saying California did their due diligence on Sequoia and Diebold, because they rejected Diebold voting systems as well in that same year, 2007. But they didn't do their due diligence on Smartmatic and find that same exact hard-coded, whatever. I don't know, man. I don't know. I got a lot of pushback on Badlands Book Club when we were saying that Venezuela had nothing to do with election fraud in the United States.
I disagree. You guys are focusing on where the hard print addresses are. And think about it like this. I'm in California, but I can open up and use an LLC that's out of Delaware, Florida, or anywhere else in the country. But where's the actual business going down? It's
Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
Like, I can go and create a business address that's out of Florida, that my business address is in Florida, but I'm operating out of California.
Right. Now,
So,
can you operate
well,
out of America and create a business that's registered in Ghana?
shell companies do it all the time. If you're talking about, above board, the answer is no. But we're talking about people that don't operate that way. We're talking about intelligence agencies aren't going to be operating out of the places that they put their addresses.
The one thing that Alpha cannot answer, though, is if that is true, then how do you explain the consistent attempted overthrows of the Venezuela government if somehow the Venezuela government is manipulating the U.S. elections?
Because we don't.
The CIA.
Overthrowing is the ultimate goal, but when you can't.
I'll be right back. I gotta take this call.
Overthrowing, I agree with you, is that's the primo, menu dish they want. But when there's too much resistance, the next thing they need is just destabilization. If we can't overthrow it, let's just keep it in a constant state of destabilization, and essentially we're still going to have our way. Is just going to be dirtier and uglier. And I think how do
you operate an election interference mechanism within Venezuela that is attributed, according to Patrick Byrne and everybody else, by Maduro himself, when the CIA is actively trying to overthrow Maduro? It makes no sense.
Well, because, and this is where, and Patrick Byrne hasn't said this, but this is my position. This is where the good guys at some point in the pan, I can't pinpoint the year, I don't know. But at some point, the good guys grabbed Maduro by the collar and said, these are your choices. You can continue to be under do what they want, the people that put you into power, or you're not going to work with us. And as you work with us, these are the things that we're going to guarantee you. We're going to guarantee you your safety. You're going to guarantee us our information. And I think these operations were taking place even during the quote unquote Biden administration. All these operations were in play. And I think one of the things that kind of gives my theory credibility that they were in play is right out of the gate, Trump's team, the first thing they did within 72, I think it was 72 hours or 48 hours, was he had Pam Bondi deem the cartels as foreign terrorists. Now, why? Because they had already been game planning the strategy of how all this was going to play out. They knew they were going to go for Venezuela. They knew that they were going to go for Colombia. They knew that they were going to go for Mexico. All these things have already been, planned out and strategized. And that's why I think I agree with you guys. Like, yeah, Venezuela is just the patch on this thing. It's not the root. Like, it's not the Venezuela government as people see it. But to me,
close. They're the patsy, not the patch. The patsy.
Well, a patsy means you're innocent. I don't think they're innocent. I think there's culpability there. I just don't think it's
How?
Yeah.
Explain to me, like I'm 3 years old, why Maduro's government would be interfering with American elections while at the same time the CIA is attempting to overthrow Maduro's elections.
I'll do that. Let's bring it to one I don't think you guys will argue with me. Do you guys agree that the cartels here in Mexico have been flooding money into the politicians of Arizona and Maricopa County?
Yes.
Okay. So we know that cartels do influence our elections by controlling our politicians. And and my belief is none of these cartels are independent entities. They may seem like that at the rank and file level, but at the upper echelons, these people are controlled by the intelligence agencies. And so what's that?
We've proven that
100%. And so if we know that these cartels are being used to either through buying them off or through leveraging them through blackmail or maybe even threat to our politicians, and we know, and this is that, and as a matter of fact, Maduro himself said it, the majority of drugs that are coming through my country are coming out of Colombia. And I'm glad he said that, because that opened up the conversation for people to understand what does Venezuela really represent. And if you guys remember the movie with Keanu Reeves where he's killing everybody,
John Wick.
The place that they go to where everybody agrees you can't do nothing to each other?
The Continental.
Yes. Venezuela is the continental for the Western Hemisphere. This is where all these cartels are allowed to traffic their money, to do their stuff in the bankings, to do their narcotics. There's this mutual understanding of this hub that this is all going through. And that's why Trump went after that one first, because that disrupted the entire network of what's going on. Now, granted, I can't prove all this. This is just strictly...
You can't prove anything that you just said.
I can't, but I will say this. I called it all out the way it was going to happen, and I haven't been wrong about that yet. So I am operating off a theory, but my theory has been...
But explain to me why that in the indictment, this supposed evil Cartel de la Sol, which does not exist, was dropped out of the indictment because it doesn't exist.
There's more that are going to come. You can drop a charge on one indictment to focus on another.
They didn't drop the charge. They dropped the argument that Cartel de los Soles is a cartel.
Well, just off that indictment, it doesn't mean that there's not going to be a fall. It's like this. When I'm doing a gang enhancement, I may drop the gang title on one of the members that I know is a gang member, only because I know that there is a follow-up investigation or charge that I'm coming with. And in that case, I got more information that's going to solidify that he is. So rather than weaken the case that I have right now, I'll just save it for the case that I have that's coming behind it. Well, sometimes, like with regards to warrants, we'll call it a piggyback warrant. But with regards to cases, I'm going to keep this case strong, and then I'll let that other case build upon it, because this is going to create a predicate crime for me anyways. And so, like a lot of people have asked me, why would they just do like the machine guns and narcotics things? Well, one, that plays into the state jurisdiction and things that are easier to charge. Because if you try to say Maduro or the Venezuelan government is responsible for the deaths of Americans, you're going to have a hard time proving that in court, because how many people are in between Maduro and someone who actually takes a hit or an injection from that needle? But things that are easy to prove are machine guns and possession of narcotics. And those are things that still come with a 30-year sentence or a life sentence, which allows you to, leverage those charges, which again, I think that's all just kayfabe anyways.
So
yeah, because the president's not allowed to have a machine gun.
I laugh at those charges because Maduro in possession of machine gun is the United States is the United States saying that our NFA, National Firearms Act, applies to Venezuela, which is fucking absurd.
It's totally absurd.
It's the most laughable thing. When I read that in the indictment, I was like, are you kidding me?
Me too.
I think any weapons charge is absurd. I'm not arguing. I'm not arguing
that.
I'm not arguing whether it's a good charge or a bad charge. I'm just arguing that it's a legal charge. It's a legal charge.
Actually, what Maduro said in that interview was that the narcotics is coming to America or coming from Colombia. He didn't even talk about him being trafficked through Venezuela.
Oh, no, he didn't. He just, he said that he actually said in one of the interviews where he's in the car and they're interviewing him, he says the drugs that are coming through Venezuela are coming from Colombia.
Yeah, I've never heard him say they were even coming through Venezuela. I've heard him say that they're coming, because the one thing, the best interview he ever did was say, how could I be a dictator? I didn't graduate from the School of Americas.
and he is saying things that we need him to say.
Yes, he is.
And that's why I firmly believe that they grabbed his ass by the collar and said, this is the way things are going to play out.
But none of that has anything to do with their role in election interference.
It's location. And because he happens to be the president that was in charge of, because this is the way I think it's going to work out. And this is, again, speculation. Maduro is going to testify, whether he's going to do it publicly or whether he does it through affidavit. And in that testimony, he's going to outline these are the American politicians that were compromised with the election stuff out of our country. Now, I'm not saying that the election software was in their country, but he's going to show that the crime, the organization, and the planning and the observation of that stuff happened in Venezuela. And this is how he was privy to it, because he was present. He is part of that. And in that's how we're going to open up the can of worms into everybody that was involved. And I think this is the whole reason that they had control of him from the beginning, because all that's been documented. And that's why I think, and this is why I made the statement that when Maduro is either apprehended, and you guys, the post is still there, it's dated November 29th. I said, when he's apprehended or they tell us he's dead, I go immediately following that, you're going to see a rise on social media trending of the 2020 election, because that's, if my theory was right, that's the next step of what we would see, and that happened. And so that just, what's that?
It was reversed, though. You saw a rise of the 2020 election on social media before Maduro was nabbed, and all of that revolved around the CIA, not the CIA, but around Venezuela. Hold on. It revolved around Venezuela stealing our elections. Now, let me ask you this, Alpha.
Well, to that point, though, in our community, you heard those conversations, but
no. This was the Federalist. This was the Federalist putting out their 315,000 vote discrepancy that went viral, and then from there you saw all the FAGA out there literally taking stuff I've been reporting on for 4 fucking years and rehashing those arguments. Now they're not taking my stuff specifically, but rehashing those same arguments as if they're breaking news. And that's what like saturated the algorithm before Maduro was taken in. And all of this aligned with Lara Logan sitting down with Pizzullo and Gary Bernstein, Emerald Robinson's expose.
Almost like that interview was to address the Federalist.
Yes.
To co-opt that, what I refer to as real election interference, with this new narrative, the look over here.
And so let me ask you this, Alpha. If the United States, assume Trump's, it's not Trump, it's the United States, the establishment. If they were to remove Maduro, who would they want to be put in Maduro's place?
Whoever they were controlling. I think that it was going to be what's her name that won the Nobel Peace Prize?
Maria Hakuna Matata.
Yeah.
That's her name.
Machado or whatever it is.
Machado, Karina Machado.
And I think they thought that's how that was going to play out. And when Trump came out and said she doesn't have the respect, she's not going to get it, that's when I think they were like, oh, okay, what's going on here?
Okay. And so what did our favorite CIA spook only came out as a CIA spook after he ducked us, which he doesn't know who we are, so whatever. Came out as CIA after that. Who did he say was the CIA's person to put in Venezuela?
Was it Darcy or
Delcy Rodriguez? He said the CIA wants to put Delcy Rodriguez in there, and basically has been simping for Maria Corina Machado ever since, the actual CIA plan. So let me ask you this. If the elections are
I think I know what kind of question you're trying to present is, if that's the case, why are they pushing these people? Because that's kind of goes against what they would want if this is how they control it. And if that's the direction you're going, what I feel we're seeing is the deep state playbook being weaponized against themselves. It's like when we went to war. Who are the bankers funding? Both sides. And that's how they control the agenda. And so what you're seeing now is what I call the white hats. They're controlling both sides of the narrative. Because if they control both sides of the narrative, it puts the deep state in the bad position, because if they go with this one, well, Trump and them have the contingency for that narrative agenda, so they lose. If they try to, and that's why they've been getting rugged at every corner, because the white hats aren't just pushing their narrative, because they are pushing their narrative, but they're also maintaining the ability of what the deep state can do with their agenda and their narrative. And the perfect example of this, before people think I'm crazy, is if you go back to my social media because I would think I was crazy if I was listening to me. However, I have a consistency of accuracy. If you go back to my social media in February and March, when everybody first started getting mad about, Bondi and remember the Filegate, right? Or Bindergate. And I told everybody then, I go, watch. Trump is going to make them beg for the Epstein files. Mm-hmm. And when that comes, and I go, and what happened? As time progressed, he made them. And why? Because he was controlling both sides of that argument. He said what needed to be said, how it needed to be said to generate the conversations. And in that particular situation, he said the DNC and the FBI's Epstein investigation's a hoax. And what they do, they bid on that bait. And they're like, oh, he's calling, Matt, your favorite guy, Massey, and all them, MTG, started coming out and saying, oh, he's saying that Epstein's a hoax. And he never said that. He just said that investigation. Why? So that when they would start demanding it, he was going to open the floodgates and here you go. And here's the stuff. Well, that's the same thing that's happening here. If you create, because remember, confusion only affects the person that doesn't understand what's going on. And if the deep state, so if we're confused and the deep state's confused, that's a win. If the good guys, and that's us believing that the good guys are actually in control, that means they're in full orchestration of everything that's unfolding.
So can I clarify something? Going back to who we're saying the CIA wants placed in Venezuela. I mean, that book, Stolen Election, makes it clear that they're in the camp of Hakuna Matata, or whatever we're calling her.
Hakuna Matata. It means no worries for the
rest of the days. They're definitely on her boat, which of course she's a CIA product. They're definitely against Rodriguez. And Rodriguez ends up being the by default head of state now. And they hate that because it basically leaves Maduro's administration in charge.
Yep.
And a lot of people may or may not know that Rodriguez's father was murdered by the CIA.
Yep.
In one of those black sites that they set up inside of Venezuela.
And Maduro's son's on her side.
And again, if Venezuela as a country, their administration was rigging our elections and their National Election Commission is operating under their direction, I still come back to why is the CIA from when did Chavez die? For like 2012,
13.
Yeah. So since then, they've been trying to overthrow Maduro's government consistently, to include the Guaido garbage.
Yep.
So if they're controlling the elections for the CIA, why would they be trying to get rid of the administration that is controlling the elections from Venezuela? That still makes no sense to me. And why, more importantly, would Rodriguez, and they make it very clear in the Stolen Election book that she's the linchpin here, not even Maduro. She is the linchpin. And why would she be acting on behalf of the CIA to rig elections in 70 plus countries that doesn't exist for the CIA when they murdered her dad?
The same way we operated here in the United States. Venezuela is dealing with the deep state, just like she's dealing with the deep state. Oh, okay, you're laughing, but let me give you.
No. I'm laughing because you're adding an extra end to Venezuela. You're saying Venezuela. It's Venezuela.
Listen, I'm Mexican.
You're the brown guy on the panel. Come on, man.
I get to add letters, but there's evidence that we can use to gauge these things. Fetterman, look at his position.
Fetterman is a full-blown Zionist simp, man.
Listen,
I can trust nothing. He says things that make MAGA like get a hard on for a Democrat.
I don't argue the Zionist thing because I think people get too held up on that, and the Zionist is not the end of this of our takeover.
What does he have to do with anything about what I just said?
He says the narrative that aligns with Trump when it needs to be said. Now, if we understand that our government
how does it deal with what I just said?
Because this is the same thing with those people. Is why are they doing this? The Venezuela government, like Maduro, is number 2 in command. Is the deep state wants full control. They couldn't have full control because not we, but the white hats have been fighting them. So what you have is, since they can't have full control, it's destabilization. It's okay, if they take Maduro, then this is the woman we want into power. Trump rug pulls him and he can't. They have their own continuity of government that goes in place where they already had it signed. You have Maduro's son that comes out and says, this is all, tells the people of Venezuela, this is unfolding exactly how we planned. Trump
right.
kept them alive. And I've said this, I don't know if I said it on these shows, but I said it on my show. Pam Bondi made a statement and it caught my ear because it was very important. I've been trying to look at what real legal reason did we have to go into Venezuela and steal the president, right? Snatch his ass up. And there's a gray area, and even then it's very hard. It's very hard to even check those boxes. And I exhausted this. However, there are two ways that we could have done it legally. Those two ways are cooperation from the government or consent. That's in the law. You can go over there. If that's a cooperating government, you can do that. And why I bring this up is because when Pam Bondi was doing her press briefing, she said, when we apprehended him and they read him his rights, and then they brought him here. And the reason that caught my attention is because people that have watched movies have this, it's a myth that when someone's arrested, we have to read them their rights. We don't. The only time you have to read anybody their rights, two things have to exist: custody and interrogation. If you just have somebody in custody, you don't have to read them their rights. That's the Constitution. The only time that you have to, by law, read them their rights is if you have custody and questioning. Absence, just like you can question someone, and if they're out of custody,
not answering my question, Alpha.
I'm presenting my argument. Is what I'm doing.
The question.
Well, I'm trying to. This is very important. So let me let the audience hear it, though. Is when she made that statement that they read him his rights, what that told me is either he consented to come along with the warrant they had, which I think that would be pre-planned and because of his safety, or they already had communicated with the Venezuelan government that this was going to go down and they were cooperating, which is why I think you see things like his son making statements. This is going down exactly how it's supposed to. This is why when Maduro was being transported, he's like, thumbs up, Happy New Year. That sounds like someone who probably was going along with the program. So how does that, to get to answering your question, is I think that these people are all involved and working with President Trump to expose the deep state apparatus that's in Venezuela that has been used as the hub for our election fraud, for human trafficking, for narcotics trafficking, for all that stuff that's going on in South America. That's why I think this is unfolding the way it is.
But you've still not answered my question.
Well, what's the question? Maybe I'm not hearing it.
Explain to me from 2013 until 2026 why the CIA would be trying to overthrow a government that they supposedly control and are using to rig the elections in 70 plus countries.
Because they control.
Let me add to
that one before I get confused, and then you can add.
Tack onto it. If they control the election in 70 plus countries, why haven't they put in regimes that are more favorable to Venezuela in those 70 other countries?
Which they have not.
Because you have two operating entities in Venezuela, the Venezuelan government and the deep state. And I think we can say an apparatus of that deep state is the cartels. Put it this way. America under Biden. It was the Biden administration controlling our country, or was the deep state controlling our country?
It was definitely a handful of establishment dipshits.
It was the deep state.
You can call them
absolute globalists that were controlling our country. But on paper, who does it show? Biden. Well, if you look at Venezuela, yeah, on paper, Maduro's the president. This is his staff. But the reality of it is he was only being able to do what he could probably do in the scope of his ability, because the cartels are the ones that were controlling that country. They didn't have full control. So the deep state, knowing that they lost control of Maduro because now we have them in our pocket, that's why they're trying to overthrow him.
From 2013?
I don't know what year it happened, but at some point in that window that happened.
They were consistently trying to overthrow him the entire time.
Well, yeah, and the reason for that is because he nationalized the oil industry. That was the biggest reason.
Well, Maduro didn't, but
Chavez did.
Chavez didn't either. That was actually nationalized just before Chavez got into power.
We've put people into positions of power who then don't go along with us, and then we try to take them out. Saddam Hussein's a perfect example of that.
No. So from 1998,
we put Saddam Hussein in power.
Listen to me. From 1998 until 2026, the CIA repeatedly tried to overthrow the Chavismo government, which consisted of Chavez and Maduro. From 1998 until 2026, there were at least 4 hard coup attempts and multiple others.
One of them was successful for like a week. And that's
For
the
like
one
a week.
Machado signed into. What was like the Corman Accord or whatever it was?
Yeah.
Something like that.
So I still, because the entire structure of the Venezuelan government, to include the whatever they call the Secretary of Interior, the intelligence chief, all of that, was part of, if you go back in their history, they were part of the original revolution that happened in the early 90s that Chavez ended up getting put in prison for 4 years. And then when he got out, he did his campaign, got elected officially, and then it was Chavez and Maduro for the rest of that time. That's when the CIA lost control of Venezuela in 1998. And that corresponds with the Smartmatic guys leaving Venezuela and coming to Miami. And it also corresponds with all of the CIA attempts to overthrow first Chavez and then Maduro. And I still have heard no explanation of why the CIA would be trying to overthrow a government that they supposedly control. No one's been able to explain that to me.
Why is the CIA trying to overthrow this government when Trump controls it? That until they have control, until they have complete control, they're going to try. And if Trump or I don't know if it was Trump, but the White Hats, if the White Hats took control of Maduro from the get-go, then that would answer the question of why they were trying to take him over or overthrow him again from the get-go.
So you can't have control of Maduro and him still interfering with our elections.
I'm not saying that Maduro was interfering with our elections. He's the face.
Saying his administration was. Those people again.
I didn't say his administration was. I said Venezuela was.
The National Election Commission that runs Venezuela's election, which in stolen elections, they specifically say that entity in the Venezuelan government is controlling the 70-some countries' elections. That is in his administration, and he has direct control of it. And the people that are running
we don't know that he has direct control.
No, I know that. It's in the book. And I've researched it. I know that emphatically. Those are the people that have been involved with Chavez and Maduro the entire time.
Just because the book says it doesn't mean that that's what's happening in reality. Look what the books say about our elections, and we don't control our elections.
No, I'm telling you, the accusation of these people is that this National Election Commission is controlling the 70 countries that Smartmatic does elections in.
Because this is only you guys are looking at it through the lens of the big picture that we all are aware of, but we're the minority in this. Everything that we're seeing, from what Trump's saying to the headlines to the actions, is not for us.
I'm looking at the reality of it. I'm not talking about for an audience or anything else. I'm talking about the reality.
But the reality,
the National Election Commission in Venezuela that is accused of controlling the 70-country elections. Those people that run that have direct ties to Chavez and Maduro, who the CIA has consistently from 1998 till now tried to overthrow. If they're controlling the elections, why would the CIA want to overthrow the apparatus that they supposedly are using to control the elections?
Because they don't have full control. We don't know if they are still trying to overthrow them. The only logical conclusion that we have is that they don't have full control or any control. But this is because you keep saying the reality, and the reality is factually what you're saying makes sense. That's what's documented. But what I'm saying is what we're seeing play out for the entire world, priority our country, the reality doesn't matter. One of the first things that I was taught as a cop, the biggest lesson that I was told by a sergeant, is perception is more powerful than truth. And that didn't make sense to me too much later on in my career. But I get it now, especially when it comes to this.
All of that.
Oh, but that's the point I'm trying to make. When Trump is saying Maduro and Venezuela and the elections, why?
I'm not talking about anything that Trump said. I'm just trying to deal with the actual reality.
That's what I'm trying to say is
I'm not dealing with perceptions. I'm talking about the three of us talking about reality. I want someone to make that make sense to me.
And I'm trying, but you're not letting me, Colonel. What I'm saying is I'm not talking about reality.
Because you keep talking about all this shit out here. I'm talking about this stuff right here.
Okay, go ahead, Ken.
Hang on. I got to do a quick ad read, and then we'll jump back into this. I'm gonna tell you guys what I think happened in Venezuela. But before we do that, they can freeze your accounts. They can shut off your cards. They can lock you out of your own money overnight. Banks don't protect you. They control you. And that's why real financial freedom starts with ownership. Introducing Rumble Wallet, a non-custodial wallet built for people who refuse to give up control. With Rumble Wallet, you don't just buy digital currency like Bitcoin and Tether. You can own Tether Gold, real gold on the blockchain. Through Tether Gold, you get direct ownership of physical gold bars, each one fully allocated, verifiable by serial number, purity, and weight. This isn't paper gold. This isn't an IOU. It's real gold without bank vaults, storage fees, or gatekeepers. You can buy, sell, or move it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even when traditional gold markets are closed. And if you want, Tether Gold can be redeemed for physical gold. That's power. And when you support creators on Rumble, you can tip them directly using Rumble Wallet, peer-to-peer, and outside the banking system, not the blockchain, the banking system. No permission, no middleman, no cancel button. The wallet is yours forever. So check it out. Click the link there. And Alpha, it took me that long to recognize Rumble Wallet and give a mention for Rumble Wallet.
We had a studio issue that was not our fault. Just to be very clear, we tried. But here's what I'm saying. And I get what you're asking, Colonel, but that's not how I deal with what's going on here. I operate from the world of we're in 5th generation warfare. And in 5th generation warfare, they don't say reality, Colonel. In 5th generation warfare, it's perception. And the reason that perception matters, like with us, when we teach people about Operation Gladio, why is that so important? Because we are teaching the reality so that our audience isn't persuaded by the perception and optics of what's going on. So for like our audience, the people watching tonight, they get what you're saying. They get what CannCon's saying, and they probably even understand my position. But we serve a different purpose in what's going on right now in the information warfare, this audience. The people that I'm trying to reach out to, whether it's social media or beyond, is that group of people that still aren't aware of that when they see, well, why are we going after Maduro and why are we going after Venezuela? They're operating off the surface level optics of what's going on. Because when they get to the point to start asking the right questions, which you guys are bringing up, then they peel back that layer of the onion to where it's like, well, how can it be Venezuela then if Smartmatic, Dominion, and Sequoia were operating out of these locations? But they don't get there if Trump jumps straight to the gun. He has to build the entire timeline that makes people seek that information and go there themselves. And that's where I'm operating at. So I'm not saying reality is not important, because obviously it is. But what I'm saying is reality is not the only way you fight the information war either.
And all I'm trying to say is I understand perception. I understand 5th generation warfare. I got all that training. I'm trying to just ask a very simple question. That's it. Does that make any sense? In reality, does it make any sense on the surface?
Of why they would try to overthrow Maduro?
If he's there, if his administration is rigging elections for the deep state, the CIA.
I think it's the cartel that controls aspects of his administration. And so if you take over Maduro because you no longer control him, then you get to plug in your person that you get to do it more fluidly. It's like, under Biden, they still ran it. It was much easier. In Trump's first presidency, it was harder, but they still had their claws into our administration. I think it was the same thing with Maduro's government. There's aspects of his government that they controlled just enough to control the elections the way they wanted, but they couldn't get the mass effect because they didn't have complete control yet. So overthrow them so you can have complete control.
So having done the research into the Venezuelan government, the people that are alleged to be in control of them are in the National Election Commission, which are all directly tied to Chavez and Maduro. They grew up with them. They are part of the revolution that happened, the attempted revolution in the early 1990s, and they've been tied to both Chavez and Maduro. They were not part of the cartel, as you're calling them. Go ahead.
I think the cartels have been running it from day one.
I want to chime in on what I think happened here, and this is based on my experience in looking into elections. So you have two entities that came out of Venezuela. Everybody talks about Smartmatic, but not many people talk about BizTA. And BizTA R&D was the company that actually developed the software for Smartmatic. And it was 28% owned by the Venezuelan government. It's the only entity. Smartmatic is not owned by the Venezuelan government, despite what certain people want to tell you about it. And it's definitely not owned by them today. It's owned by SGO Corp, which is based out of London. So BizTA, here's what I think happened is I think BizTA may very well have been developing software that could, in fact, rig elections. Once that, kind of wind was caught of what BizTA was capable of doing, that's when it took globalist interest. Like, hey, these people figured out a way to, rig elections with no audit trail, no way to discover it whatsoever. The Maduro regime, after, he replaced Chavez after Chavez mysteriously died of cancer in 2013, very well may have been left in place just to leave well enough alone and not interfere down there. Obviously, 2014, right after Maduro won, the very next year is when SGO Corp took over Smartmatic. Then you see, as Colonel was talking about there, prior to that, you had the Sequoia merger, but that's on the global scale. So, I think that there is a possibility that the Maduro regime had some influence on Venezuelan elections. The idea they had interference, the idea they had influence on elections in other countries is patently absurd. There was another point I was trying to make, and I can't remember where I was going. I've been keeping this pent up, so whatever. I'll land that there. I completely forgot the other point I was about to make. It'll come back to me, and I'll interrupt.
Was it anything more to do with BizTA or?
Just to add.
Go ahead, Colonel.
Just to add to your point, that prior company was formulated while the CIA was still controlling Venezuela prior to Chavez.
So we're seeing, we talk about, President Trump and whether he extracted Maduro. And I've mentioned this before, and I'm sure you, Alpha, have talked about it with Josh because I got the idea from Josh initially. President Trump laid the foundation for what's going to happen, I think, with Maduro and what's already been put in place. And that was by pardoning Juan Orlando Hernandez, the Honduran president, the former Honduran president. And if you go back and look at Hernandez, there was no physical evidence presented against Hernandez, none whatsoever.
It was all against his brother.
It was everything was testimony from people that were already in federal custody in the United States, facing 20, 30, 40 life sentences.
Yep. And it was all against his brother.
And they were given time served in doing so. And so now what do you see even before Maduro's arrested, you've got Hugo Carvajal Barrios, right? The former Minister of Interior, I think, under Maduro. He flees to Spain. First off, and people never talk about this when they're like, oh, there's a Venezuelan whistleblower that wants to testify against Maduro. That guy's fucking corrupt as shit.
Yes,
that guy left the Maduro regime to go join Juan Guaido's revolution.
Yes,
the
he
Bay
did.
of Piglets. He was complicit in the Bay of Piglets.
Yes,
he tried to egg that on. And he had to leave, exactly. And so he fled to Spain. He was able to dodge any, investigations out there, any capture. He eventually got captured. He pleaded not to send him to the United States. They send him to the United States, and he comes out and he's like, hey, I've got all the dirt on Maduro.
All of it.
It's Juan Orlando Hernandez part 2, all over again. And Trump saw this coming. And I'll land that there.
So what if Maduro testifies and says, I didn't do nothing to your elections, but your CIA and MI6 did, and this is what they were doing in my country. Yes. This is how they interfered with my election systems to rig your election systems. And then Trump says, hey, you know what? You're an innocent man that was being framed by the intelligence agencies.
Yes, and that's exactly my point. So when you have all these spooks, literal fucking spooks,
but we don't get there without the narrative that they're selling right now first.
No, but we get there. We're going the opposite direction right now because so many people are influenced.
We're not going the opposite direction.
No.
We have competing narratives.
I'm not saying that we, as us on this panel and Badlands in general, are going in that direction. I think people on Badlands are pretty well aligned that along that Maduro is not who the mainstream Mockingbird media has presented him as. However, Patrick Byrne, okay, the guy literally ducked me 5 minutes before the show after me and Colonel had just gone back and forth about the ties to Machado, to the CIA, and all that stuff. I can't remember the exact post
because you were probably going to ask questions that
he can't answer. No, it's not. No, it's not that he can't answer yet. It's that he can't answer. The only thing that guy can do is go on a show like Emerald Robinson, Alex Jones, Laura Logan, who will say, tell me all about your story. Oh, well, the CIA and my boat in the Bahamas. And they're like, oh, please tell me more. And it's like, no, you got to push back. Nobody pushes back on him. Nobody pushes back on him. Name one person that's interviewed him, push back on him.
Because you are talking about journalism. We're not playing journalism right now.
So then you're just fucking propagandizing people.
Narrative warfare. I'm not denying that. I'm not denying that. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it's what's happening. Narrative warfare.
No, it's not narrative warfare.
Let me ask you this.
CIA trying to manipulate a situation right here where they're on their last fucking leg. Trump has taken the entire fucking nuke.
They're providing the conversations that for those that catch on to say. Put it this way.
God, of all people, Alpha, you have just took this hook, line, and sinker.
I did not. Let me ask you this. Are our elections corrupt?
100%.
So why'd you vote?
Because because if I don't vote, the only way to ensure that I don't have my vote counted is not to vote.
There's the thing. So even though you knew your vote technically didn't matter because it's corrupt, it was what your vote represented, and it's that variable that's immeasurable. That's perception. That's narrative. You're talking about voting. You're showing up to voting. Us seeing people show up to vote. That's narrative. And so when Byrne and those guys come out and say something, they are providing a narrative, whether it's true or it's not true. It's part of a narrative that's controlled by the good guys because they got to control both sides. They got to control the side of what actually happened, and they got to control the side that the deep state's trying to sell. It's the same. This is what I said at the beginning. The central bankers controlled both sides of the war. That's why it never mattered who won, because they won in the end. And this is what the deep state has always done to us, not just in kinetic warfare, but also in narrative warfare. And what you're seeing right now is the white hats doing it back. Now, we don't like it because it affects our ethics and morals of the way we operate. But you don't win these wars if you're going to play ethically and morally. And now, trust me, I'm not saying I like that. I'm not saying I agree with it, but that's the facts of the case. You don't win. If America is going to be the only country abiding by the Geneva Conventions, we lose. And this is a testament to why Marco Rubio is going out there and telling everybody, I don't give a fuck what the UN says. We're going to do whatever the fuck we want to do, because that's the only way America breaks the grasp that the deep state has had on us, is we're going to be in those gray areas.
So you don't think the CIA is playing a role at all, the black hats?
Absolutely.
And you don't think that it's possible that the narrative getting out in front of Trump's 2020 election investigation with CIA assets like Patrick Byrne could possibly be black hats trying to co-opt the narrative?
If they were, there's too many people around Patrick Byrne that Trump has complete control of, that they could shut him down easily if they wanted to.
Say that again.
Where Patrick Byrne is going to provide this messaging are absolute apparatuses that are controlled by Trump through extension and proxy. If he's going to Emerald Robinson, who does she work for? Lindell TV. Who's Lindell the homies with? That's President Trump. So if they really wanted
to go there to try to co-opt that audience,
of course they would try, but they don't have the power to do that anymore. If Trump's team wanted to shut down those narratives at those platforms, he could. Patrick Byrne and those guys would have to be going to, they would have to be going, I won't put other people's names out there podcasts, but they would be going to other podcasts that still have significant size, and they do it. Look at the people that left the Alex Jones show. And look at the reasons they left. To me, that's an indicator that AJ ain't the one controlling his show no more. I think AJ got grabbed by the collar. And I think there are people that work for AJ that are probably not aware that AJ got grabbed by the collar and said, well, if I can't push this a narrative that I want, the Jews, I'm leaving and I'm going somewhere else. I think that's because you're seeing this play out that way.
We got to land here because we're over now. But it's remarkable to me, Alpha, that you're like full blown on board with a guy who is simping for Maria Corina Machado.
First of all, when did I say I was fully on board with him?
You just called him a white hat.
I didn't say he was
he's
a white hat.
CIA's white hat. This is one of the things that's blown my mind.
Well, hold on. Well, let's clarify something. I never said Byrne's a white hat. I said he's
not a black hat, so he's a gray hat.
He could be. What I'm saying is he's controlled. The information he's putting out.
He's not controlled.
I think he is.
I mean, he might be controlled, but he's not controlled in the way that you're insinuating. The thing that blows my mind about this is we've for years we've been like the CIA this, the CIA that, and now all of a sudden people are like blobbing the knob of somebody that they've known and loved for so long and didn't come out until 4 days after he ducked us.
Not everybody
says, oh yeah,
CIA
by the way, I'm
bad.
CIA.
Not everybody at the CIA is bad.
Not everybody at the CIA is trying to prop up Maria Corina Machado, who's been a CIA plant since 2007.
Let me ask what
2002?
Very early, like 2001 and 2 is when that
Bush, Yale, the Yale 4-month internship, whatever it was, the indoctrination camp she went through, all of that.
So let me ask you this. What has Trump said about Hillary Clinton?
A lot of things. I mean,
she's a great woman. What has Trump said about Lindsey Graham?
Oh, come on.
I support him.
Come on.
What? No.
Come on.
We don't get to say that when people are propped up, that means that those are black hats.
He's not propping Byrne up. Byrne's propping himself up. He generated a following.
You're the one that just said that he was propping her up.
Byrne is propping up Machado.
So that's what I'm saying. Is just because bad people are being propped up doesn't mean the people that are propping them up are always bad. Sometimes they are. Sometimes it's because you got to put them into. Sometimes you got to put these people into the light on your timetable, so it works to the advantage that you want.
To be clear, I don't know that Byrne is a bad guy. He could be fucking right. He could know shit.
He could be bad,
above our pay grade. But my problem with this is that this is a narrative that not only could lead to potential, and granted, I'm assuming that he has at least some influence somewhere in the administration. And I don't know that he does. But assuming he does, the narrative that he's peddling that Venezuela is controlling elections in 70 different countries at least is detrimental to the security of the globe as a whole. Because if that were ever to come out, that one single country that's been a shithole country forever, that has had 8 million people leave that country in the last 20 years because of a dictatorship, is somehow controlling elections everywhere and can't get favorable, get sanctions lifted, get oil trade deals negotiated, is somehow controlling elections. That's absurd. That's absolutely absurd.
It's so absurd that it'd probably get the entire world looking at a case where that president had to testify, and then that president comes out and says who's actually doing it. And then it doesn't seem so absurd. Then it seems like this was tactical.
Very well could be. And they'll still be like, oh, fuck, my CIA is exposed. And they'll turn around and run in a different direction.
Yeah. When this is all over and done, we're not going to have a CIA. We'll have an intelligence agency. It won't be the CIA.
This is why he wouldn't come on my show, because when I ask him how he funded all these things, he wouldn't be able to answer that. So
he'll be on the show eventually.
No, he won't. He doesn't know who I am. After he told somebody in there, oh, well, that'd be like going on to an interview with the Hanoi Hilton after Vietnam. That was his words. And then like a day later, he's like, I don't know who they are. Bullshit. You don't know who we are.
He knows who you guys are.
Of course he does. Of course he does.
And he'll be on your show eventually.
I just want to say,
he's welcome anytime.
If he spent tens of millions of dollars doing this quote unquote investigation that produced a book called Stolen Elections, which are all the things that he's claimed credit for, that book would not be from front cover to back cover full of lies.
Yep.
And untruths. And it is.
Yep. All right. We got to get out of here. Thank you guys all so much. Colonel, thank you for tuning in. Stay warm tonight. Stay warm. And Alpha,
keep my water running so my pipes don't freeze.
It's 30 degrees for a couple hours. You guys will be okay.
Dude, I honestly, I'm gonna love it. I'm probably gonna go out and sit in my backyard for like 10 minutes and just
jump in your pool. So I'm good.
All right, guys. Thank you all. Oh, wait, we got to do Rumble rants real quick. Shit. Whatever. G's probably gonna kill us, but whatever. Oh, God, that's a lot of blue, which means Keith.
If you look in the studio, sometimes there's a second Rumble wallet that's in there. If you want to look at that real quick.
No, I can't.
It's a different script.
It's not me.
Oh, gotcha.
Access. ZBM says I'm originally from Western Washington, born and raised, and we 2 seasons hot and humid and cold and humid. It sucked balls all year. In central Idaho now, it's dry 90+ summers and to 15 and cooler snowy winters. Yeah, that's too much change for me. ZBM, I absolutely love it. I wouldn't live anywhere else. Best fishing and hunting here. Yeah, still too cold for me. ZBM, K, random curiosity, but do any of you know if Lucille Ball was in fact a commie or was that fake news? And was Desi Arnaz family involved somehow with the downfall of Cuba, or were they victims?
I heard the conspiracy. I've never been able to figure it out. I've heard that before, though.
He definitely was not a victim.
I love Lucy, man, though. When I was a kid, my grandma loved it. And so, S. Busen, thank you all for your service. And you are welcome, and thank you for the Rumble rant. And yeah. Keith O'Higgins, how can you guys avoid the Venezuela tie to MI6 and intel sharing prior to extraction and not think it's all an attack to castrate the UK and cartel influence in the Caribbean? It's a naval operation. Because this operation is Navy-based, it's still globo homo. I agree with Alpha's argument about perception. That's why I had mirrors that say objects appear larger on the ceiling of my bedroom. It's so creepy.
God,
so creepy.
I love it.
Yeah, some good points on the first 2 rants. The second one, third one, not so much.
You got to get nervous every time you see Keith's name pop up.
I know. I read them beforehand. Cody Austin says, coming in late, but you guys have no idea what winter is. Come up to Alaska for a week. I'm laughing at you guys. That is a fact.
Hell no. I seen those videos from Brad. Hell no.
Good to see you there. All right, guys, jump on over to Rug Pull Radio. I'm going to raid you guys over there. Colonel, again, thank you. Tune into Book Club Tuesday, 6 p.m.
There's one more that came in from Big Kuda. Whatever happened to Big Balls? He actually was given a job within the government. If you guys don't know, go read his story. The administration hired Big Balls. I just wanted to say that.
All right, we're out of here. See you guys later. Oh, ZBM, just because I love the show tonight. Thank you, ZBM. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for joining us, and don't forget to hit the thumbs up on this video. And a special thank you to all of our advertising partners. Please remember to shift your dollars to support those businesses that support Badlands Media.